Tonight on the OG Wisdom podcast, we tackle the conversation everyone is whispering about, but few are dissecting. For decades, Jay Z has been the ultimate symbol of making it out. But as his name appears in the headlines next to Diddy, and now the latest Epstein files release, a segment of the culture isn't just watching, they're cheering for a downfall. Why is there an infatuation with seeing Jay Z in trouble? Is this a case of the crabs in the barrel syndrome, or is it a long overdue demand for accountability from the elite? We're talking about the legal allegations, the conspiracy theories, and the psychological shift, how the Black community views its billionaires. In this episode, we discuss the specific mentions of Jay-Z in recent FBI files and filings. Is he guilty by association? Let's talk about it tonight on the OG Wisdom podcast. Welcome to the OG Wisdom podcast. I'm your host, Brother Tad, with tonight's special co-host, our sister K Fighter. K Fighter, how you feeling, Queen?
Blessed and highly favored.
No doubt, no
I'm
doubt.
tired too, because I'm still trying to dig out, and I want that goddamn mayor of ours to come pick up this garbage that's been sitting out here for a week. You chicken Marcella eating mother effer, pick up this damn garbage. It's pissing me off, man.
Oh man, sis. Yeah, that's what my uncle said. I had my uncle in town from out of town, so that's why we haven't been going live. You know, running around the boroughs, and he said, "What, y'all garbage people on strike up here?" He said, "There's garbage everywhere." I'm like, "Yeah, man, it's not a strike, but this is where we at with it." Yo, shout out to everybody in the chat. Pardon the delay. As we wait on our brother C Gutter and had a little technical difficulty behind the scenes, but we all right now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It's good to see everybody tap back in. Shout out to Tiger. Shout out to Spread Love Movement. That's cousin Simbo right there. Shout out to Miss Macho Ma'am. Definitely appreciate the love. And our brother New York, always holding us down. Got our back like a knapsack. That's what's up. Yeah, sis. So, Jay-Z in the news as usual. But my question is, why do we always, when I say we, I mean the hip-hop community, the Black community, we like to see when Jay-Z name is in the headlines. Do you think it's guilty by association? I mean, they tried to attach him to the whole Diddy situation. And of course, he denied all allegations, had his lawyer step on it. And I like what he said. He said, where I'm from, we don't play with children. We don't play with the children like that. But other people feel different, given his could have been romantic, could have been platonic relationships with the likes of Foxy Brown and Aaliyah. As a woman, how do you feel about that? Like an older guy hanging with younger women. And what's your take based on information you have?
First, like I said, there have been murmurings for quite some time about illicit behaviors. I don't know for certain, and I don't believe you know for certain, but there are murmurings, and they continue to follow him. And it's just, in my opinion, people not waiting for a downfall. It has to do with accountability. Now, it could be in his best interest that he remains silent. However, when you remain silent, you also allow the murmurings to grow. Where there's smoke, there is fire, and it's going to continue to fuel. Like you said, his name continues to come up. I don't believe, in my opinion, that the fans of hip-hop music or the fans of Jay-Z want a downfall. They do want accountability. And as a man in his 50s, there are a lot of things, including the great age difference over he and his wife. Now, I'm going to leave it at that because there's a lot that I can say, but that's not what the lawyers tell me to do.
Okay, okay. Do you think it also comes up because it's proximity to Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein? Given what you just laid down on how we viewed it early in his career as hip hop fans, before we even knew who Jeffrey Epstein or Harvey Weinstein were, these were allegations murmuring that, I know
Mm-hmm.
that Foxy said they never had a romantic relationship. That-
Mm-hmm.
so she denies it and he denies it
Mm-hmm.
and says it's true. You
Mm-hmm.
know, however, as he's graduating within the music business,
Mm-hmm.
he does create relationships with certain elites. One of them is convicted. Other one was arrested and so-called self-deleted himself.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this further fuels the fire of people saying that Jay-Z could be part of the ring?
Um, Again, in business, you cannot help what people you do business with do. Um, However, you have to be strategic in who you do business and who you are around, and particularly when you are an entertainer and you have an entertainment business, because the spotlight is always on you, always, because you are an entertainer. So you have to be careful with the company that you keep. A lot of people don't understand that. That's why I move alone all the time, because I don't trust nobody. You know, I don't trust no damn body, because anybody could throw some stuff on your name, just by association. Now, to be smart, even with the Diddy situation, if there are murmurings of said behaviors, let me fall back for a minute. And while you get yourself together, let me fall back, because I don't want that smut on me. You see what I'm saying? However, I don't think people understand what it is, what it means to be an entertainer. You are forever in the public eye. You in the ever in the public light. Now, if people are talking about the recent allegations as it relates to these Epstein files, in my opinion, I do not have factual, tangible information, but it is my opinion that Jeffrey Epstein was a double agent. This
Mm.
man kept files on everybody, even people who created hip hop that he had never met. However, he kept files on these people. And I looked through quite a few hundred pages of files, not including photographs, but I'm just talking about files of artists that he liked. For example, he kept a file on these artists. Um, I don't want to say the name of one in particular, but she is very high profile. She has elevated her career into acting and in business. However, he kept a personal file on her. He also kept files on genetics. One of the Olympic athletes from Jamaica, Shelly Ann Frazier, he kept a file on her genetics, and offered to contribute, to her endeavors, her Olympic endeavors. He traveled to Jamaica a lot. He hired a lot of furniture makers out of Jamaica, in particular. But he also kept a file on those people who merchandised or manufactured that furniture for him. One
Wow.
of his trainers, was, according to him, a former boxer who was injured and had to fall back from that and became a personal trainer. He said, he would ask him certain things about politics. This trainer would always reply, "I don't vote. None of them are doing anything for me." However, Mr. Epstein kept a file of his conversations with this trainer. And I'm sure the trainer had no idea that he was keeping a file. He wore watches. Some of them looked like Apple watches. All of these watches had cameras in them. So again, this man was collecting data on just about everybody. He also put his tentacles, his financial tentacles, into a lot of places. One in particular, the nation of Haiti. He paid for school uniforms for the children in Haiti, right? However, he had no fetishes, or I should say, at least he documented for wanting black children. So his thing was little white girls. But anyway, those around him, some people around him desired other things. So, like I said, I spent several hours looking through this data of him. He held a fundraiser, or sponsored a fundraiser, I should say, for Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, an old school hip hop party back in 2014. He was talking about him being a rising star, and he is someone to look out for in the Democratic Party. So, again, putting his tentacles in several different places, and these people, whether they knew or did not know, will forever have an association with him as these files are now released.
Wow. And that's a lot of information. Spread Love said, gave you your props. Said you provided the best information on this issue so far, Miss K Fighter. Which that's why.
Thanks, Cuzzo.
Yeah. Because these are the things where we connect the dots, as New York said. New York said he don't even think he's deleted, and he might not be. They probably snuck him out the back door. But you did mention Haiti, and I know that Epstein was close friends with the Clintons, and we know the Clintons have a history with the island of Haiti.
Yes.
Particularly, allegedly, taking the children after quote unquote natural disasters. Do you think Epstein, in your research, do you think Epstein could have been related to that as well? Into getting those children off the island of Haiti and getting them to his island for other people's appetite? Or you haven't come across that yet?
Let me say this. I haven't found that directly. The only information I found on Haiti is what I released just now. Also, they were looking to help rebuild its government. He talked about that. One of the persons in his file is a woman by the name of Peggy Segal. Peggy Segal had a close relationship with a lot of people in the entertainment industry. And she had a vile nature towards what people of the Jewish faith would call a goyim. And so, that's how this woman portrayed anybody who wasn't of that group.
Background.
That group. I will leave it at that. But, she had her tentacles in a whole lot of people. But I haven't seen any relationship so far. Like I said, as you mentioned, it's over 3 million files. So I haven't seen any connection to Mr. Epstein with black girls. Now, I don't know if his, crew, requested those. I haven't seen anything specifically asking for black girls or black boys at this particular time. Not to say that it's not there. I haven't come across it as yet.
Okay. So some people would say that Jay-Z is a black capitalist, and he says that money's the path to liberation. I don't know if our folks realize that black billionaires are just that, billionaires. And do you think the community now looks at him as from one of us, from somebody who grinded out the mud, to one of them now? as I stated before, years ago when my team had a record deal, we was running just the Little Bastards, and we used to do promotional shows with Original Flavor, who would always bring Jay-Z with them. So we would always do shows together when he was up and coming back in the early 90s. So I always tell people I've watched that man grind. He didn't come out of relative obscurity. I've watched Jay-Z grind from 88 to 92 to 94. Then 96, he hit his number and he was gone. But our folks would look at him at one point as one of us, and then it shift to one of them. Even though he gave albums like The Blueprint, to said, yo, this is how you get money. One of my favorite Jay-Z songs is I'll show you how to do this, son. And that was for women in the streets and hustlers on the streets. Like, this is how you get the money. Now that he's got the money and he's a billionaire, do you think, what's your thoughts on the community disowning him? Because people say the Illuminati.
I don't know. It depends on which aspect the community looks at him, right? I look at him as an entertainer, and that is it, right? Because when you look at his staff or the staff of Rock Nation, it does not resemble us in great mass, right? It resembles people of other ethnic backgrounds, right? So, is there sort of a betrayal in that aspect? I would say yes, because those other groups did not build your entertainment career, I would say, right? So that could be a betrayal. I don't know. But it depends on which aspect you look at Jay-Z. Some people say, yeah, he sold out his crew. He sold out the borough. He sold out, black people. I don't know. It depends on what it is that you look for him for, right? I don't expect much from entertainers. I don't care who it is. I don't expect much from entertainers. Now, if they, do something greater, then it is a plus. But, as Malcolm said, you should never trust an entertainer. And I don't.
I'm glad you brought that part up. When he dropped the Blueprint 3, people were saying, oh, he worships the devil, this, that, and the third. And I would tell them, Jay-Z is not my spiritual advisor. He's an entertainer. I buy his music for entertainment. He's very entertaining. He's a talented artist. That's it. When I get on the bus, I don't ask the bus driver their religious or political affiliation or beliefs. I'm here for a service. You driving the bus, that's what I need you for. All right. But I have another question. And chat, y'all could jump in this one as well, right? Because Jay-Z built this brand on being quiet and being mysterious. But we see in the social media space that people want you on 24/7. They want to know everything about you. And we know for some people that could be dangerous. And I think we talked about this on that show before. Do you think Jay-Z is silent because he's protecting his peace and his family, or is he quiet because he's hiding some things? Why do y'all think that he's quiet? As I'm trying to read the chats too. While our sister take a break and handle what she got to handle real quick. Our brother in New York said, ain't nobody pumping air in his lungs. He got to answer for his mishaps in his time. Appreciate the music and the blueprint, but that's a fact. That man is his own man. So I don't expect a lot from entertainers. However, I don't expect to aid in gentrification. That is true. That is true. As we talk about gentrification, and Miss Macho Ma'am says both. Protect the family and be silent. I mean, protect the family and something to hide. But what do you think it is that he has to hide? I mean, because coming from the streets, a lot of times people want to make you guilty by association, but you can't control the actions of other people, And I think sometimes it's almost a deterrent to be successful because it's viewed as if once you make a certain amount of money, you no longer one of us, you're one of them. And should our entertainers, should anybody from our community take a vow of poverty? Say, you know what? I have an opportunity to do this, that, and the third, but I'm gonna stay broke because that's what the people expect of me. Because when you get money, first thing people do is run to you with your hand out. So it's almost like you damned if you do and damned if you don't. You know, Simbo says back then silence was cool, but now everyone expects direct answers from a man who rarely do interviews. I hear you, bro. I hear you, cuzzo. What I say about that too is I think a lot of our folks can learn from this. Silence is golden. Silence is power. As Sister Keisha just put down about the group that we really can't talk about, we seldom hear them talk. And when they talk, they have something to say and they making a power move. But I think it would do us some good if some of us, not all of us, some of us be quiet more often. There's a power in silence and privacy. I think we like to show off too much. Somebody said Jay-Z made the 360 deal cool. And that's crazy for an artist to do that. Yeah. If an artist did that, I think he has a level of degeneracy when dealing with females. He definitely used to like them too young. Yeah, some people got they ill preference. So I'm gonna read one more comment. I want to come back to you. After they make the money, they get the call. We all seen the pics with him and the spirit cooker. Now that is a fact. What is that chick named the spirit cooker? And she was dancing with her forehead against Jay-Z forehead. Yeah, I never been in those rooms, so I don't know. A lot of stuff I'm realizing is speculation, but it's always good to gauge the audience and see what they think. You know. But sis, what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on Jay-Z silence? Do you think he's sold out? Do you think he's part of the Illuminati?
No.
Okay.
To be a part of such things, you can't. You either usher it in and you not. And it is based on a particular knowledge set. However, you can be used by it, right? You could be used by the corporate machine. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know his particular business dealings. I have no idea. But like I said before, where there's smoke, there is fire. You have to be very careful in how you move. Case in point. What have you heard about Angela Bassett?
Not much.
What have you heard about Denzel Washington?
He love his wife.
Like I said, and he is friends with Jay. You know, Denzel is very good friends with Jay, right? But one thing I know, I heard Denzel say in an interview, he knows how to go home, right? And he would tell people that. But again, people don't listen. You always think you know, but you don't. You know what I mean? Go home. This is why you don't hear anything about an Angela Bassett or her husband, Courtney B. Vance. You don't. You can be an entertainer, great at your craft, get lots of money, and do great business, and not be in these murmurings. So, why are you often in these murmurings? That is a problem. That is a problem, and it goes all the way back. He can stay silent all he wants. The murmurings are not going to stop. And it's getting worse. Now with recent developments, it is getting worse. So I don't know. Also, he has 3 children, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's 3.
I think it's 3. I understand he may want to protect them. But we live in a world where information comes at your fingertips. You have to be careful. Things have to be laid out and planned, right? So case in point, and I'll talk about myself here, and hopefully people can understand. Prior to me having a child, I was outside. The party life was me. When you know all the promoters are calling you. When you know the owners of the clubs and you getting in free and your crew is getting in free, that was me. However, when I gave birth to my only birth child, the other I got through marriage, but um, I had to make some changes, and I did it very rapidly. Right? For example, one of my best friends, when I told her, "You won't catch me here no more. I can't do it no more," she thought I was kidding. So we would always meet up at this particular spot. And when she got there, she called me. It was like maybe 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Where you at? I told you I'm done. I'm done. I got a
Yeah.
child to raise. So I have to make different moves here, right? Even, after I broke up with my child's father, right? I met my husband when my daughter was a year and a half old. But when I broke up with my daughter's father, I would go out on dates or what have you, but I would let the guys know that I dated. One, you can't come to my house. Two, if you ever see me in the street walking with my daughter, walk right past me. I don't know you.
Yeah.
Because you are not a fixture in her life. She don't got to know you, period. Period. And so you have to make changes in life. But I can tell you one thing, no matter how hard I party, my integrity is intact. My
Yeah.
integrity is intact. And again, look at Angela Bassett, Courtney B. Vance. You don't see these type of murmurings happening. It's just not happening. So there is a blueprint on how to be successful in this business and how you could get money. But you have to be careful of your surroundings. And best believe when you run somebody the wrong way, it can come back to haunt you heavy. I.e.
Yeah.
Bill Cosby. Heavy. Heavy.
Yeah. I think that's a point our brother New York was making too. He said they trash all black success, all black people with bread. They take off of here. Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, Suge Knight, Diddy. They did it to Wesley too. I'm tired of it. I remember. I think the first person I really ever paid attention to them doing that to was Sammy Davis Jr. when he was on his way out, and I
Mm-hmm.
think I was still a child back then. Yeah, I was definitely a child, but I was like, I thought they loved Sammy Davis Jr. And then they started talking bad about him. And I see the same thing within our community because you're making valid points, sis. I'm not even disagreeing with what you're saying, but I do want to address the psychology of our folks. Without hard evidence, we
Yeah.
indict and condemn our own.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, they're just entertainers. Why are so much of our community so invested in their life? And many people are cheering because you got people like Jaguar, right, who makes the allegations and say she has evidence and proof. And you know, it's just disheartening because again, she's an entertainer as well. And she gets
Right.
paid to do these interviews, so she gotta come with some stories or the money
Uh-huh.
runs dry.
Mm-hmm.
So to your point earlier, we got little computers in our hand and we gotta have a level of discernment, knowing how to separate fact from fiction, you know, facts over feelings,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I
I
know I
know
got
spread love. You say you don't hear nothing about Morris Chestnut either. No, there's a
right.
way to do this type of thing, but people don't listen. They don't listen. You got all the answers. You got all the answers. You are dealing with a mob entertainment industry. That's what it is. It's mafia run. Period. The hats are a mob. People like to talk about the Italians. No, the hats are more vicious.
Yeah.
And after them, it's damn Chinese. They more vicious. Listen, when you deal with that word, you better know how to step and move because whatever your fetish is, whatever your most wanted desires are, they will use them against you at every turn. I remember, I'm of a particular age, but I remember they used to have Playboy After Dark on TV. And you would always see entertainers on there. One notable entertainer is Mr. Bill Cosby. And you at the Playboy Mansion, and Hugh Hefner, in my humble opinion, I don't know it to be factual, it's just my opinion, he too was a double agent.
I could believe it.
He too.
I,
How do you let a hat pimp roam freely and do whatever he want if he's not a double agent?
right.
Right? So Mr. Cosby, a very intelligent man. Um, as far as what I've seen, right? Being a very intelligent man. However, if you can't control yourself and stay out of these arenas, they gonna get you. Especially when you want to do serious business and they don't want you a part of that club. They will get you. You see what I'm saying? You gotta stick and move. That's it. Do
Yeah.
your thing, stick and move, get up out of there.
That's right. Get your bread and bounce out.
Right. I remember an interview, Denzel Washington said he don't even go to the movies, he don't watch movies. He don't even watch movies. But that's the business that he's in. You know what I mean? He also said he goes into a character very intently, right? When he's playing a character, he lives that character for a while, right? So you have to separate yourself in some way, form, or fashion. But again, like I said, there are people in this business who you don't hear a mumbling word about. They stick and move, do their job, and they out. I don't want to go to no parties. I don't want to go to no games. I'm good. If I want to go to a game, I'm going by myself, me and my family. I don't want to sit next to you. I don't want to what's up you. Nothing. Nothing. You have to be careful in these spaces.
Yeah, you're making a lot of good points, sis. You know, a lot of people who are successful in the industry aren't caught up in these type of scandals. But now, do you think it's because of what he earns because he's a billionaire? Because you know they talk about that $50 million club. You know, what's our dude? Kanye went on a tangent years ago about Jay-Z. Do you think he was off his meds back then? Do you think he was telling the truth? And
I
especially with his recent apology, saying
don't, I don't know
you
what's
can't
going on
call
in
it
that
right.
brain. I don't know, Sway. I don't know nothing about that. I can't figure it out.
We
You
ain't
know,
got the answer, Sway.
I ain't got the answer, so I don't know. But it's just a sad state of affairs because speaking of Kanye, he is extremely talented. In my opinion, again,
Yeah,
he is
definitely
extremely
is.
talented and gifted in a particular way. But again, you have to know how to stick and move in this industry. You really do because things will come to pass. You talk about you know I do believe in certain things go around, come around. One of his first major hits. You try to trash black women, and you align yourself with the pale folks, and it's not working out so good for you.
Yeah, yeah. And
It's not working out.
that's what happens. It's called karma. And it's funny, as you mentioned Hugh Hefner, they tried to when Diddy got jammed up in his LA home, they talked about the tunnels that led to the mansion, but they act as if that was Puffy's house, but all of those mansions had tunnels that led to the bunny house. I guess you could call it to the snow bunny house, whatever you want to call it. Hugh Hefner's house. Why do you
Mhm.
think it is? They got all of these documentations, all of this information, whether it was Hugh Hefner, whether it's everybody who's named in the Epstein files. Why do you think it is they got all this information but no arrests?
That's the question. That's the question everybody wants to know. At least I do. Why are there no arrests? Why is no one going to jail? But let me make this perfectly clear. Trafficking and the abuse of men, women, and children is rampant in this world, not just in the United States, but in this world. We are dealing with a world full of freaks. And, you know, I was looking at some videos so that I can show tomorrow. You know, why is the Muslim community so silent on these bachabazi boys? Why you don't hear black Muslims talking about the freakish fetishes that Muslim men have abroad? You don't hear black Muslims talk about that, but they will go in on the hat, they will go in on the white tee man, but you silent on this Arab who out here preferably sleeping with boys and only sleeping with women to reproduce.
Mm. That's a good question because I thought it was crazy that women was going to Dubai to get crazy
Yes,
stuff,
yeah,
fecal matter
somebody,
and
yeah,
urinated on.
fecal matter and all of this whole kind of stuff. You know, why nobody in the Muslim community is speaking out against this?
Mm.
You know,
That's a
I
good
have a lot of
question.
questions, more questions than answers, but you know, I don't know. I don't know, but I don't hear nobody saying nothing.
Yeah, because there's a few 100,000 to 3 million pages in that Epstein file, and with all these names mentioned, some of them redacted, we hardly see any arrests. Now, from a report that I did see, was that Jay-Z, him being in the report was only because of a tip line. Just an allegation somebody said he was there back in 1996. That is about 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, he's an up and coming artist. So that's as far as it go in terms of him being with children and things like that. And with AI right now, it's hard to believe almost anything that we supposed to be seeing. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, is any of this stuff for real anymore?
Mm-hmm.
People say we living in a simulation, saying it's a mind screw. I just can't call it. That's why I'm
You know,
just asking the questions based
one
on
thing
information.
that our brother Black, you know, for those who don't know, he always said that the Biden you see now is not the real one. Well, there is a file in Epstein's dossier, I would say. He confirms that thing that Black says all the time. He confirmed that in that file, in a
Mm.
conversation with a government official. So again, you know, I just want everybody to have both eyes and both ears open. Do not consume yourself with things. Um, count your children, your nieces and your nephews and your cousins, and make sure they all right. You know, I know one of the things that really bothers me is that when children go into the system, um, nobody is really caring for them the way that they should. In that particular file, there is a correspondent between Epstein and someone in government about getting these children brought to, um, um, I think it was Florida. I can't remember off the top. I have to go back to the file, but I believe it was his home in Florida. Again, like I said, where are all these children coming from? Where are the parents of these little white girls? The same way people was asking for the parents of the girls that were essayed by R. Kelly. Where these little white kids' parents at? Where they at? I want to know. I want them brought up on charges too.
Yeah, yeah, they need to go down too because that is crazy. Because you see so many of these people give their children away to
Mm-hmm.
entertainers just to be down with the elites.
Yeah. There's a video in the file of Mr. Epstein chasing this little white girl around the kitchen in his home. He's chasing her around the kitchen. And there's another little white girl who was standing by what looks like a refrigerator. And he's chasing this girl, trying to catch her. But my thing is, who's recording this?
Right.
Who's the person that's? I want to know who's the person that got the camera.
Think it's Ghislaine Maxwell. You think
I
it was her?
don't know. I don't know, but whoever's holding that camera needs some accountability for that. But again, when you got a dossier on everything and everybody, um, can you really be brought to justice?
Ah, that's the $1 million question. That is the $1 million question. Sis, our time winding down. I still got a couple of more questions, but I'm gonna kill that. I'm gonna kill those questions because of course we definitely talking about Jay-Z, because it's almost like people have a love-hate relationship for Jay-Z. I always tell people I respect his business sense and what he's done with his life to go
Right.
from Marcy Projects to marrying one of the biggest R&B stars and, just becoming a family man, demonstrating growth. We celebrate that. But some people will call Jay-Z the ultimate gatekeeper, if you will. Some people will say he's the final boss of this hip hop thing. And we see so many people clamor to be around him or get close to him. I remember Gilly said one time, he's not going to the Rock Nation brunch. He said Jay-Z is like these white elite handlers. He said, and he demonstrates to them like, yeah, I got all these little nigglets in check. They got to come to me. And some say that people as far as Fat Joe has kissed the ring because Fat Joe used to hate Jay-Z. When they had their little discrepancy.
Now he's on Rock Nation, right?
Now he's on Rock Nation, have nothing but nice things to say about Jay-Z. I noticed 50 hasn't kissed the ring. 50's the illest antagonist. Definitely always throwing shots.
Didn't he say he's thinking about doing a doc on Jay too?
Yeah, he did. He did. I hope it's better than the Diddy one.
I haven't seen that either.
A lot of allegations, a lot of speculations.
I read too much. I don't got time.
Yeah. What I used to say, we read them boring ass books and watch some long ass documentaries.
Right? I'm reading boring books, looking at all these files. Yo, he got a picture. No, he has some crazy artwork in his house. Let me just the artwork is crazy. Now, the one with the black woman in a wedding dress hanging from a rope from the ceiling bothers me. It bothers me. Mm-hmm. But again, now, some of the photographs are of his office, right? Now, if you're coming to my office, and you sit at my desk here, right? You can see everything that I have on my desk, right? He got pictures of himself with little white girls sitting on his lap or digging in his shirt or in between his legs, right there on the desk. So whoever came to his office to do business, for whatever reason, you're not bothered by that?
And this is Jay-Z we talking about?
No, Epstein.
Oh, Epstein. I was about to say, whoa.
No.
Okay. Woo.
No. Even his waiting room, right? He got a waiting room, I guess, for people before they get into the office. He has these little white lounge chairs. But he had little freaky art thingies behind that, right? 2 men, whatever, and then you got this thing over here. Like, these things don't bother you? Like, I'm sorry. If I'm a campaign financier and I'm coming to you, for money for my candidate, I'm hightailing it up out of here. I don't want my candidate to have no dealings nowhere around this because this ain't looking right. But again, all money ain't good money. And when you're living or partaking in a diabolical entity like politics, you got to watch your P's, your Q's, your I's, and your T's. You can't sidestep with nothing. So again, this guy, like I said, got a dossier on just about everybody. Even the hats. He got dossiers on them too. So, I believe he was a double agent. That's just my opinion.
No doubt. So, sis, it's almost that time. Tell the people where they can follow you at, where they can find you, and how often you do your show.
Follow us every Thursday, 8 to 10 p.m. on Thorough Black Talk. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch for all my gamers out there. Shout out to all the DJs who really host me on Twitch because I really don't be paying attention over there. So I get waves from DJs that I know when they host over there on their spots. So shout out to them for doing that. And you can catch Thorough Black Talk on all social media platforms. Even we are on Upscroll now. We on Rumble. We on True Social. We everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. So what's the final word you want to leave the people with, sis?
Watch your P's and your Q's. Cross your dots. Cross your T's and dot your I's.
No
Be
doubt.
humble. Humble with who you are, right? Be gracious in how you move in this world, especially when you have children or nieces and nephews and little cousins around you. Make sure you move with an air of respect because, I don't know what each of you do in your life, but even if you go to work every day, stop going to work telling people your business. Stop going to work and gossiping with people on your job. Go to work, do your job, and go home. Go home. So be careful out there.
Yeah.
And make sure you share this. All right?
Yeah, definitely share this. Oh, and shout out to Sister Tam. Today her birthday.
Hey, Tim. Hey, Tim. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Supporter, always holding us down. But family, we definitely want to thank you for rocking out with us tonight. Hopefully you're inspired by something you heard here tonight. It's your turn to go out and inspire others. So y'all stay up, stay blessed, stay true, and remember, no matter how hard things may seem right now, there's always better days ahead. Peace, family.